Sweet. Add person, Jace. Invite. You should see it pop up.
I can.
There we go.
Did you add me as Better Body Academy or did you add me as Jace?
No, it's Jace.
Okay, let's have a look. Request to be in this video. I need to get out of here and switch accounts. All right, guys. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. We're just getting set up here for another episode of The Potty.
Good morning. Hey, Rod. How are you, mate?
Can you re-invite at all? Because it come up as the Better Body Academy side.
You want the Better Body Academy one?
Nope. The Instagram one, if possible. Yep.
Yeah, just Jace do it.
All right. Yep. Send request. Here we are. All right, guys. So we are here with another episode of the podcast. So we're going to start this in 2 minutes, team. I see you, bro. Lovely.
Turn the volume down so they don't hear me twice.
Beautiful. So, guys, here with another episode of the podcast, guys. Hey, Revival Rod. I hope you're good. Team, what is going on? Good morning. Let's just make sure we're trying something a little bit different this morning. Let's just make sure that we don't have an echo on the podcast. So can you let us know, kings and queens, that we don't have an echo on this? Hello, Tez. Good morning, Dan. I hope you're well. We're going live across YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. So we're going to start this episode. Hey, good morning, Kayla. We're going to start this episode in just 1 minute. So if you're coming into this one live, guys, please let us know that you're here. And if you do watch this one on replay, you know the drill. How are you this morning, Mikey? How's the workout?
Yeah, it's good, buddy. Have you lost me?
No, I've got you hit loud and clear, pal. Loud and clear.
It's looking like I'm lost on my end. That's good. Yeah, no, it was really good, mate. I like a good early session. It's great.
Good stuff. Hey, Kara, good morning. Now, guys, this is going to be a podcast episode where we are going to be talking about the lessons that we learned after the... Jesus Christ, we're admitting that we're 40 years old. So after the age of 40. So, hey, Levi, how are you? Hey, Mana, I hope you guys are good. If you have any questions or even lessons that you feel like you've learned after the age of 40, they'd be nice to hear. And good morning, Pete. Welcome to our Better Body Academy, mate. I hope you're well. All right. So I reckon we're ready to rock and roll. Mikey boy. Hello, Sean. Hello, Tez. No echo. There's an echo now. Okay. Just let me know if it's on the Facebook side. And if it is, I'll cancel it. All right. I think we are ready to rock and roll, team. You ready to go, Mikey?
I'm ready, dude. I think the echo's on Insta, though.
Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the Insta feed, unfortunately. We're going to plan this a little bit better, so we'll see you guys soon. All right, to our team on Facebook, YouTube, all the tubes, should be right now, guys. Let's get stuck into another episode of the podcast. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Now, you got a couple of old bastards here on the podcast, here to shoot the breeze with you guys this morning. And we're here to talk about the lessons that we've learned after 40 years old around health, weight management, and all the stuff. Now, how many of you guys in the audience that are watching this, and I'm just quickly scanning our viewers right now, how many of you guys are cheekily over 40? All right, so we've got a few of them, very good looking over 40s, I will say. So guys, Mike, I'll start off and I'll give my first lesson and maybe we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go with lesson number 1 from my end. This is that aging does definitely not mean weakness. I remember when I was like, I don't know, like 20, 25 years old, Mike, and I was looking at guys that were like 30 and 40. And of course, like you have a different view on the world at that point in time, right? And I was looking at these guys just thinking like, these guys are old. I'm going to get old one day and be like feeble and not be able to lift. And I think that that's like, do you reckon that's an accepted paradigm in society? Like, do you think that that's like, that's kind of like almost like the right of the dad bod? Do you feel like that's a thing?
It's not. It's not right. It's accepted because it's normal, right?
Yeah.
Because laziness is easy, and that's why it's accepted as normal, right?
Yeah. So for me, I guess I viewed that and I was like looking at these old guys in the gym and I'm like, yeah, you're going to get old and you're going to get weak and that's just how it goes. So what's happened for me is I've changed my training techniques a little bit as I've got a little bit older and kind of got a little bit wiser. I think when I was younger, I was just like going into the gym and going as hard as I possibly could and getting injured quite frequently, doing the wrong things. And so while I might have been overall stronger and training more intensely, being able to do it now with a little bit more consistency, less injuries creeping in, like it's a fucking game changer. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the experience of moving into the coaching space and seeing men and women, and I'm not talking just 40, I'm talking 50 and 60 and 70 that are actually like fucking born again. And I'm talking about people, you know, like Kylie Whitelam and Xanth Friend and Nico and Tez. And these guys, like, they're middle age, right? They're 10 years, you know, yours and my senior and absolutely dominating. So the first lesson for me is like, you don't need to accept that it's just like, okay, dad bod, slowly decline from here, all over. To you, lesson number one for you.
Well, it backs off what you just said about 30 seconds ago is the power of patience and consistency. I find people don't realize the longevity it is to take to transform, right? It's quick fixes. Everyone's like, yep, I'm in for the sprint. Don't get the results, so I'll go back to what I know best. Whereas if we're looking at our transformation as a journey, like not the destination, as a journey, and whole results will come, right? That's the big thing for me. So when you're young and you're enthusiastic and you're full of testosterone and all that other shit, you're like, yeah, I'm into this, I'm doing that, I'm doing all this really, really fast. But when you get to your 40s, you don't realize that that patience and consistency you should have had, or you have now, should have been back then, and you would have been probably in a different position you are now. In saying that, there's nothing wrong with having ambitious goals and being driven and all the rest of it, which is really, really great. But the older you get, the wiser you get. I mean, the streaks of wisdom come through. They're not grey hairs, they're streaks of wisdom. You realize that the small steps matter, right? The small steps matter. It's not fucking leaping to the top straight away. It's like the old age thing where people, especially the younger generation now, they expect to get out of school and go to the top.
Yeah.
Right. I need to earn 150K. No, I need to, have this body that's, dude, like I look at you, you've been lifting for, 30 years. You've got the body you've got because of patience and consistency.
Yeah.
You've got the mindset that you've got now because of all the shit that you've gone through to build that, solid foundation to have a skyscraper that's standing nice and tall now, and it looks really good, feels really good, mentally stable, and all the rest of it. So consistency is something and persistency, like the two, I think, marry together quite well in terms of making sure that you realize it's going to take a long time to get to something that you really, really want. But if you start enjoying those little steps along the way and sniffing the flowers and looking at yourself and realizing that I am getting 1% better every single day, that progress is it's so much better.
Why do you think
it actually doesn't take as long when you enjoy it?
100%. Couldn't agree more. Why do you think people, what do you think, as a general thing, let's have a real conversation. Why do people rush the process? Why are people so urgent to get it now? What do you think?
Because social media is telling them that I can have this pill or I can have this thing and it'll get me to this result in 1 week's time. But it's not telling them that I am malnourishing myself, or I am overtraining, or I am, doing the things that I shouldn't be doing to get to that position. Social media has been the biggest downfall of people's mental and physical health for the last 15 years, in my opinion. I look at when I was going through my rough spot in my 30s and socials was around, but it wasn't as highlighted. It was hard for me to find things that I needed to do to help myself. So, luckily I had a great counselor and all the rest of it to get through that side of things. But nowadays, everything's on tap. Anything you want to know is on tap. So you get instant gratification immediately. So you're expecting that in life.
It's the way that everything's conditioned now. Like, you think of even within social media landscape, everything's gone from like written posts to short form video that are like 30 seconds. And it's a shame, because the quality message that's in there, which is the long-term play, let's transform your life as opposed to lose fat. That's the win. I personally think it's that people are so, like you've said, they see the social media side, and then they're so polarized by their own circumstance that they think, I'm so far behind this person, so I desperately need to make this work now. I don't trust myself to do this over the long term. I don't think that I can be consistent over the long term. Because if I'm not consistent over the long term, I know I'm going to fail. So we kind of go into this with a mindset that's like, if we instead set the expectations of, look, it took me 20 years to get overweight, it's going to take me probably 1 to strip it back off. Like, we've set the expectations right. Really good.
But also, it's the 19 years of maintenance that people don't look at. It's yes, in 12 months I've taken 20 kilos off. Now I've got to maintain that body, and it's fucking harder than losing weight.
Big style, 100%. Because the temptations to go back to your old self are always there, right? 100%. Yeah, good call. Great lesson. Okay, my second lesson is a little bit more specific to resistance training, and it is that I used to do all body part splits. Okay, so a lot of men would have grown up the same way. If you kind of grew up in the 90s and early 2000s like I did, in other words, you're around 40 right now, you would have grown up with back training one day, chest training another day, leg training another day, and then kind of shoulders, calves, and something else on that last day. Kind of like this 4-day body part split. And to be fair, like, that worked for me for a very long period of time. But as I did get older, my ability to recover from a beatdown of 6 to 8 different chest exercises diminished, right? And it's like, why has that happened? Because your ability to recover as you get older, there's the kind of the positive chatter, but the body needs time to heal. So I've changed my training split completely to full body sessions all of the time. And we get asked why we constantly program full body style training sessions for all of our clients, whether it's 2 days a week or 3 or 4 or 5 days a week. Why do we nearly always program full body sessions? I'll tell you the reason why. Okay, there's a few. Number one, if you're training full body and you miss a day, guess what? Doesn't really matter, because you've already done 2 full body days that week. Whereas what people tend to do is when they miss a day, they always seem to miss leg day. They miss the day they don't like. So if you do have to miss a day, the cool thing is you've already trained the full body twice. The second thing is you just don't get as sore because you're not beating yourself down. The third thing is it's more enjoyable. Have a think about it. When you've been doing chest day or leg day and you're like 3rd or 4th exercises into like 5 or 7 exercises, it starts to get boring and you just can't keep the intensity up because you're so sore. So there's numerous reasons why, and I'm not even going to get into the super scientific ones, which the evidence supports this. I think moving to full body style of programming, even if you're, 1 or 2 days a week in the gym, or if you're a performance athlete, someone that's doing a lot of cardio on the side that still wants to just maintain their strength and muscle, definitely training with a full body style is the way to go. As you get older, it's going to help endlessly. Over to you, brother.
Time management too. I think to add on, it's brilliant. If you are short on time and you can only say work out for 5 minutes an hour, and doing 3 or 4 of those a week is absolutely awesome. Saves you a shitload of time. So.
Look at Nikki coming into the comments saying, I'm a 42-year-old bitch. Jesus, fair. I like it. One of the girls coming into the comments. It's so good. Anyway, over to you, dude.
Love it. Cool. My second lesson that I think I'll bring into my 40s is the importance of hydration and recovery nutrition, right? I'm trying to cover a few areas. I like mindset. My third one will be mindset because that's my forte. But I think the missing link in our older age is hydration, number one. Okay, there he goes, Jace, having a drink because I got talked about water, right?
True.
Interestingly enough, when you talk about the thing that you're not or you're lacking of, it tends to appear.
True.
So for me, not just water, but electrolytes, sodium, potassium, even magnesium for recovery. We are bulletproof when we're younger, and we don't realize, like I think you said a second ago, when we hit our 40s, it's fucking hard to recover.
Yeah, totally.
I remember in my 20s, I could play 3 games of soccer on a Sunday or Saturday, go out the night, come home, go out Sunday night, go back up, go to work on Monday. I could just do it all the time. It wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Now, if I tried to do that, I think I'd be an absolute mess after the first game of soccer.
Yeah.
But back then, we didn't know the importance of hydration and recovery, especially food, right? Eating the right food or fuel for the activity that you're going to do. Knowing that carbs are good, because we're told the carbs are the enemy. Only athletes eat carbs because they need it to burn off. We all fucking need it to live, to survive, for our brain to function. But I think identifying food as fuel, number one, but water as hydration, right? Because when people say, "Oh, you need to drink more water," people, fuck that. I'm not drinking water. It fucking tastes bland. It's you need to have more hydration. And what does that mean? Anything that's kind of a liquid format that's going to enhance your micronutrients, I guess. Those little the sodium, potassium, magnesium, the stuff that we lack, a lot of us of, especially like even vitamin D, going out of hydration. Like not enough people are getting sun because they're internal all the time. Like for fuck's sake, go outside, drink some water, get some sun.
Do you know? Can I say something? Off the back of 75 Hard, Mike, there was plenty of lessons, but one of them was just like talking about hydration. When you force yourself to drink about 4 liters of water a day, you don't need moisturizer. Even now, the challenge is finished, and I feel myself dropping back to 2 to 3 liters a day, and I can feel my skin instantly getting drier. Like I need the moisturizer, right? So that's not talking about recovery. But it's still like, this is so important. What are we, like something like 70% water, and then we're not replenishing it? Well, that's killing us, dude. I think this is, and I would say as a general rule, something that's happened to me as I've got older is training has been taken a backseat. When you're young, it's like train first and then get pissed.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like the kind of paradigm. But as you get older, you start to realize that training's very important, but your nutrition is where you make so much of the gains, right?
Yeah.
If the nutrition's on a point, forget it.
Well, people don't realize the importance of how much hydration affects not just your skin and pushing all your nutrients around your body. It's like your mood, your energy levels.
Massive.
Like, fuck, man, massively. And post workout meals and having the right thing. Just because you ran a marathon doesn't mean you have the right to go and fucking gorge yourself and shit. Get the right fuel back in. Yeah, have carbs and you need protein for your broken down muscles.
Give me your number one tip for drinking more water. Like it sounds so basic.
The easiest thing right now, this is I spruik this every time. Smaller bottles, more times a day. If you have big berthas, there is nothing more depressing than drinking that for 30 seconds and feeling how fucking heavy it is, right? It's depressing. And you go, fuck, I've got to get through that. Mate, you can smash 8 of these, and it's like the old, if you drink half of that bottle and you're like, oh, fuck, I've only got half to go, which is half 250 mils. So if you have 8 of those, you're doing really, really well.
You feel like
That's my number one tip for drinking water.
Yeah.
Smaller bottles will mean you drink more water.
For me, it is literally put some flavoring in your water. Like, honestly, let's face it, it gets really boring drinking 4 liters of water. So put flavoring in it. So what can you put in it, right? You can have some no calorie cordial. You could. You could use some sparkling water. The simple fix for me is literally electrolyte powders. And yes, there's the kind of the potential salt benefits there, but I actually just do it because of the taste. It's a 10 calorie electrolyte powder that makes it taste fucking awesome. I'm having like 4 electrolyte powders a day, right? Just put like, you could talk about the electrolyte benefits. I actually just do it for the flavor to make myself drink it. And I'll tell you what, it changes it's so easy. I'm looking forward to sitting there drinking my drink, not going, fucking hell, this is so boring, right? Okay, who are we up to? Is it you or me? I'm lost.
Yeah, up to you, buddy.
All right, final one. And this is more of a practical thing that I just think, I was listening to a couple of the questions that were coming through in our women's group around the best time to fit training in. And this is like a lesson that I've had to learn firsthand since having kids, which happened at about 40, is that if you don't schedule your workouts in and you just have this plan to like hope you can get around to it, you're fucking no chance. Like, you're absolutely no chance. You have to diarize your workouts. And people think, why do I need to do that? It's just like, I just got to go work out. I just got to find the time. I just got to make the time. The moment you look at your calendar, and most people's calendar repeats the same every single week. It's predictable. It's the fucking same every single week. Unless you're working rotating rosters, which granted a few people are. Like, it's the same every single week. So look at your roster and ask yourself, okay, I drop the kids at school here. I pick the kids at school up here. I do this here for footy training, and I do this here for cooking food, and I do this, and it's replicable. So you've got to look and you've got to find a 40 to 60 minute 2 or 3 times a week. When can you fit it in? The second point is that if you do have a partner, right, you got to work with your partner. One of the best lessons that, or the best, I don't know if it's advice or wisdoms that I got was, do you want your partner, like, everyone would complain if their partner got drastically unhealthy, right? They'd be like, fucking, you're letting yourself go? Like, what's going on here? Yet, no one wants to partition time for their partner to work out. So the first thing that happens to me when my wife says to me, I want to get up early tomorrow and work out, I think to myself, oh, for fuck's sake, that's when I'm working out. But then I'm like, wait a second, I want my partner and my family to be healthy and fit. So I've got to make some sacrifice and partition time for her to be able to do the same thing. So if there's this open dialogue going on with your partner, then who's minding the kids? Is it tag in, tag out? Who's getting up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym so that by 7 o'clock I'm home so I can tag you out and you drop the kids to the gym? This is an ongoing conversation in my household and no doubt yours. You have to schedule your workouts or they just won't get done. Mikey, over to you for the third lesson, bro.
Yeah, last but not least, and I think this is probably one of the most important things, is overcoming the all or nothing mentality. I think we're drummed in from a young age that if you don't do it hardcore, it ain't going to work. That's totally the wrong thing. I think there's 10 things we've got to reconsider when we have to change the mindset shift from all or nothing to I got to do what I can do. The first one is your energy level at 40%? And can you give 100% of that 40%? That's not all or nothing. That's giving what you've got, right? That's the first thing. The second one is health is not black or white. It's not about perfection. It's about greatness, right? One of the greatest things I've ever taught by my psychologist is stop trying to be perfect. It's never going to work. If you aim for greatness, it's achievable. You can be great in anything. You can't be perfect. The third thing is making adjustments on the fly. For me, the importance of something comes up in life, like you said, with the kids, with your partner, or something happens, you've got to be able to make adjustments on the fly to make it work. You really, really do, especially with food. People get railroaded when they go out with their friends and they're like, fuck, this is not going to fit in with my calories. Mate, if you just took 5 minutes to look at the menu before you went, you would realize that there are things in there you can do. But also, you are going to a place that's going to cook you food. If you ask it to be cooked a certain way, 99% of the time, they're going to do it. So being able to make an adjustment on the fly is great. Progress over perfection. I've got that highlighted on my page here, is the most important thing. Small steps equal large leaps. Small steps equal large leaps. You can't jump from here to the top. It's never going to work. I hate this word balance, but I'm going to use it in the context. I find in life, it's never going to be the scales of justice equal. There's never going to be equilibrium. There's always going to be in favor of something. If I want to be healthy and I want to do this thing, say, for example, an ultra marathon, family's going to suffer.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to learn how to give what needs the attention at the time to get that equilibrium, not balance. I hate that word. So if you're all into one thing, something is going to suffer if you're all into the other. So that's what I mean by that, is trying to create some equilibrium. When learning from your mistakes, right? Don't look at failure as it's done. Failure is like, okay, I fucked up on something. How am I going to be able to fix that? And then you can hit the reset button. What people think with hitting the reset buttons means I've got to go all the way back to the start. But it doesn't. It means I've done this. I've fucked up here. I just go back to here where I fucked up and I continue on my journey, because you can't waste all that time and energy of all that stuff that you've gone through to get to that point. You're not going back to the start. You haven't put on 10 kilos. You put on 2. That just means you jump back a bit and then you can go forward again. And I think that comes down to, we have unrealistic expectations of ourselves. Most of us are super driven and determined and want so much in life. And when we don't get it, we have these we're setting unrealistic expectations. So achievable goals.
Can I suggest why that is, though? I believe it's that it's because we set unrealistic expectations when we're very motivated, right? We're not planning for when life happens. So what we do, as an example, is we start in a program, right? And we're like, right, I'm going to commit to 4 days a week in the gym. And I'm going to eat perfectly. And I'm going to get the kids to school. And it's like, you're setting the frame when you're feeling very, very motivated. But actually what would happen is, if you set the frame when you were really unmotivated, then you'd have a baseline level of which you can't fall through. I think it's a really great point, Mike. And Sharon's saying Magic Mike with the usual wisdom. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, to round that off, and I think this is the most important thing, and it ties everything in we've just talked about, is ultimately you've got to be kind to yourself. What you are trying to do, we're talking about transforming yourself. What you're trying to do is a massive thing in life. People disregard the courage it takes to make change. It's huge, absolutely huge. If you cannot be kind to yourself when the shit hits the fan or you run into a roadblock, if you can't be kind to yourself and have a little bit of self-compassion and say, hey, dude, you've done exceptionally well. This is just a little blip in the radar. We've got to keep going because the end goal is still achievable and in our peripherals. It's going to make that journey so much more harder, because you are going to constantly beat the fuck out of yourself and you'll never, ever win. So take the small wins as massive ones. Have a couple of moments to yourself and pat yourself on the back about the courage it's taken to get to this point, and just continue on with the journey. That's the main thing for me.
Dude, I love that. I think we get to 40, and by this point in time, we should have developed a little bit more maturity to step back and look at the mistakes that we made when we were 20 and 30 years old. And those mistakes were generally born out of trying to overcommit, or, as you said, the all or nothing mentality. It's just like the biggest killer of people. So guys, hopefully this was beneficial. I think with any of these conversations, it's more about just, like, you probably won't remember any one single thing that's come out of this discussion, but it might just be that light that shines back in again that says, dudette, like, just chill the fuck out. Stop trying to get all this done by tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're not trying to lose weight. That's not going to make you happy. What you're trying to do is shift your life so that actually you can keep the weight off and start feeling good and feeling like you can do more activities and your mental health is better. And you play that long game, your life will well and truly change, because you're not playing you're playing a long, infinite game. And it's like us. You know, as coaches, we we're going to go through tough times and we're going to go through great times, but we're playing the infinite game of changing lives, not making as much money as possible tomorrow. That's a lost situation. So guys, lovely to have Mikey Boy back on the podcast. Let us know if you would love more of these Batman Robin duels. And guys, if you want to stick around,
I'm going to remind you, Batman had grey streaks. Okay, he didn't have just like
accurate,
dye black down.
Accurate. If you want to stick around the podcast and ask any questions, please do so. We're going to finish it there. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast, coming to you on a beautiful Wednesday/Thursday. We'll see you guys in the next episode. All right, team. So I'm going to ask, is there any questions out there? So some comments. I've learned to use my stumbles as moments to breathe, reevaluate, and come back with a spark up my ass. Yeah. You know what, Eden, like, I was thinking about the way that Eden shows up in the group, Mike, and it's always like this, like, real powerful feminine energy of emotional maturity. Like, it's so great, because if it was about, like, moment-to-moment weight loss for Eden, you know, like, it would have been like a really rocky road. You should be really proud of yourself, Eden, the way that you've navigated this, mate. It is bloody fantastic. You keep showing up and treating yourself the right way. And like you said, you walk in the line of discipline and compassion and, you know, playing the infinite game. I think it's fantastic. But
the more you act like Eden does and put yourself out there, the more energy it gives back to yourself, right?
Mm.
The more you focus on one thing, the more energy you're going to give it. If you're always going to be down on yourself and depressed and woe is me, you're always going to be stuck. If you come out and realize that, like Eden has, she knows she's got a little bit further to go in her journey, but she's fucking loving every second of it. And that's showing in her posts and her photos and, you know, the way she holds herself. So it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and I noticed Donna here is in the comments saying, I'm struggling with this a bit around work and feeling tired. I think, just as a point, Don, you will definitely feel tired at the start, particularly. And the reason that you're going to feel tired is because there's probably a little bit of extra emotional energy going into it. I'm also going to say that when you reduce your calories through your nutrition, all of a sudden, like, you could be going from 4,000 calories a day to 2,000 calories a day. So you got less fuel in the tank. So just understand, like, set the expectation that there is going to be a bit of a change. It's going to take a little bit of time to adapt. That's completely normal. For a lot of people, exercise is energy draining. Most people, it's energy draining before it's energy giving. Like, that's really important to get, right? At the start, you're going to be hauling ass. And then what's going to happen is it's going to start to correct itself as you learn how to feed yourself a little bit better and your mindset starts to improve. The number one thing that I would just say for any person, I believe this was the conversation inside the women's group, is that if you're trying to do your workouts at the end of the day, it's really hard, because you're basically taking when you will have the least amount of willpower, trying to do the thing that requires the hardest amount of willpower. That's like really, really hard to do.
Yeah, and there's a thing about your circadian rhythm too as well. When you hit the 3 o'clock mark, if you're an early riser, your energy levels drop significantly. So that's why everyone reaches for the coffee and the sweets and stuff to keep them awake, right? So if you find that you only have time to train in the afternoon, my suggestion is either go to bed a little bit later and wake up a little bit later if you can, so you can push that marker out till about 5 o'clock, so you're not going to feel like shit when you are working out. But if you can't, like, a little bit of caffeine in the afternoon is not going to hurt you too much. I'm talking, micro dose of it, it'll keep you going. But yeah, it's definitely hard, dude. And it's also the mentality of I have to train versus I get to train, right? I have means, oh, fuck, it's hard. I'm not going to, it's going to kill me. I get to means this is awesome. I'm building a foundation for the future.
And again, even that progression takes a while for us to develop. It takes a while.
Energy draining, right?
It's energy draining. It takes a while for us. It's going to feel harder before it feels easier. So if we're setting the expectations at the start, then we're setting expectations right. We're not thinking, all right, this time's going to be different because I'm really, really positive. Like, the facts are you got to live as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, cool. Good conversation, guys. Hopefully this was a little bit insightful. And like I said, probably not, perfect answers to everything. It's more about just putting the awareness into this and making sure that this becomes a long game. And Dean says, also, the gym is a shit fight at 6 p.m. Yeah, it is an absolute shit fight. And you know what? I will say, this is, of course, I'm going to say this because it's biased, Dino, but the people that train in the morning, they're not there to chat and fuck around. It's not like you're not competing with 12-year-old school kids that are flexing off in the mirror. You got the people that are there to get in and out. It's the best. The gym crowd in the morning is the best. All right,
did you read Karen's comment there about leadership though? Like, this is a valid point. I don't know if you guys have ever done this exercise with your kids, if they've got some form of homework, right? So she had to help her son write a speech about honesty, integrity, persistence, perseverance, how we really show up for ourselves and children. So, yeah, I find when I have these types of things with my kids, I love asking them the question, like, what does leadership mean to you? How do you show up for your friends and family? And because I did a similar thing with my 12-year-old son. The interesting part is everything he said is what I do, which is fucking awesome as a parent, because it means your leadership skills are showing your way. It's not the right way. I can't say that word because there's no right way to be a parent, but your leadership skills are rubbing off on them in the right way. And why it's important, especially with Sharon, is I know the rough and tumble she's had over the last 12 months, but she's always been showing up for her family, even though she's had to sacrifice a ton of shit for herself. That would be reflecting so much on her children, of like mum being there when the shit hits the fan, mum being there when I need her the most. So yeah, hats off to you, Sharon, for having that integrity in yourself and continuing on, because I know it hasn't been easy for you, but yeah, fucking look at you now. 15 kilos down and just absolutely dominating it.
And sometimes you don't like it. It won't be until you're 40. Sorry, your kids are 40 that they actually realize that. That's a really good point, isn't it, Mikey? Is like we always ask ourselves, like, what did I learn from my mum or from my dad? Like I could tell you exactly what I learned from my mum and dad right now. And maybe it's like one of those things where you might not even see the day that they actually talk about you in the way that you intended to lead them. Fuck, that's magical, Shaz. I love that.
Yeah, it is, dude. But I know you as a dad, and your kids are only young and they're still learning and stuff. But mate, the moment that happens with you and you ask them the question, like the one thing I love to do is sit down with my kids, and especially my youngest when I pick him up from school, it's like, how was your day? What's the top 3 things that were great and why? And then what happened that was bad and how did you learn from it? And like just the insight into a 12-year-old where the minor things are really major, and you sit there and go, but how did you handle that? And it's like, well, when you did this thing, Dad, I did the same thing and it worked. I'm like, fuck. Like when so-and-so was sore, I was compassionate and empathetic, and I'm like, that's awesome. That's exactly what I want in my kids. So.
Rubs off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Oh, what a good chat. So nice to have you back on the podcast.
Can I just say being in your 50s is even harder?
What was that, sorry?
I'm not there yet, Kath. Just wrote, can I say just being in my 50s is even harder?
Yep.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, totally feel it. And Kath, I just want to say one thing. It's really good to see you back in here, Kath, because I think you're one of those people that this message talks directly to, not for the practicality of the recovery and the like, but you have to set this, like, you're going so good, Kath. Don't, I know a few things have happened which have slowed things down, but just like play the game, which is not, I need to make sure that this week's weigh-in I've at least gone down by 200 grams. It's like, have faith that if you adopt the behaviors, the changes will come. And you've been awesome at that, Kath. So well done, mate. All right, dude, you have a beautiful afternoon. Thanks for coming into the podcast, and to everyone that's listening along and stayed around for some chat. I hope you guys are well. Have a beautiful morning, evening, or afternoon. We'll see you in the next episode.